Welcome. Welcome. You're doing another budget lens review on another SMC Pentax-M. This is a 50mm 1.7 aperture. It's a fantastic 50mm lens. We're going to go over why this is one of the budget lenses you should take a look at and whether or not this is a budget lens for you. The reason why we do this series of lens reviews is because I want to find a fantastic lens for you for your camera system, be it Pentax, Sony, Lumix, Nikon, Canon, that you can get without having to spend thousands of dollars or hundreds of dollars on your lens system. I want everyone to be able to fully experience the joy of photography, even if you don't have the budget. Because I have mad gas. It's like I ate like 5 bowls of chili and I'm dying to go. So I want everybody to be able to experience at least being able to get what you want. May not necessarily be the perfect autofocus lens that you want, but I guarantee you we can get you the best glass for the best price. All right, so this is a about 40-year-old lens, maybe a little bit more. I bought it from an older gentleman. It had some issues that needed to be repaired. I repaired it, which was fantastic, and it performed really well. It's a 50mm. It is a 1.7 aperture. It has a super multi-coating on it. It's an SMC. And what was I thinking? It's just a great lens, like I said. So let's go ahead and take a look at the 4 different categories we're going to go over. We're going to take a look at the affordability of this lens, whether or not, hey, is this something I can buy? Is it in my price range? We're going to take a look at the accessibility. Before I even buy this lens, can I even use this lens? We're going to take a look at the build quality. If I buy this lens, is it going to last? And then we're going to take a look at the versatility. What can I shoot with this lens that I would just recently purchased or I'm about to purchase? So we're going to take a look at all those. So first off, let's thank God for the ability to take these amazing photos. If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't be able to take amazing photos. He's the one that created all these beautiful things that we take photos of. So thank God for that. All right. So first off, we're going to talk about the affordability of this lens. I gave this a 7 because for the affordability of this lens, you are able to pick up a very, very similar copy or one that has very similar attributes to this lens for a quarter of the price for the starting price of these lenses, right? So the starting price on average that I saw for this lens, not for an immaculate copy, but for one that seems like it's got some wear and tear, some use, some battle damage, you can pick one up for about $40 and up. For a SMC Pentax-A, which I've already reviewed, you can pick up one that has battle damage for about $10. I've sold one for $10, an immaculate copy for $10 because I am a generous person. I just want people to be able to experience photography. But I did pick up one for $10 for myself, and I've gotten several in kits just by buying other lenses. Here's one, for example, that I have. See, still good, even though I dropped it. So for that, it's like, okay, you can technically get one that does almost the exact same thing for a quarter of the price, or you can pay double the price or around the same price to get the FA lens, which is this one, and get the ability to have, if you get an adapter or you have a K-mount system, to get the ability to have autofocus and auto aperture. Now this is also 1.7, so that's the whole dealio. It's like you can also get another 1.7 if you just pay double or a little bit more, which is FA. But I will say the FA doesn't give you the ability to service your lens. So that's something you got to think about. So for that, that's a 7. So now let's talk about the accessibility of this lens. So as somebody that is an experienced photographer that has shot manual before, this will be easy. For someone that's barely getting into manual, or just barely getting into photography, this is going to be a little bit tricky, but it's going to be extremely easy to use when it comes to finding focus. Focus is going to be a breeze. These prime lenses make it so easy to find focus, especially with the SMCs. I've only had one issue with one SMC, and that was the 35-70, where focus was a little bit more difficult to find, but nowhere near as bad as some of the other lenses that I've used that have full manual. So I will say that this is a 7 on accessibility. My trick is vroom vroom. My trick is I always set it to 5.6 aperture, and then I'm going to have the shutter speed between 120 and 250, and that should be a perfect range to adjust everything. You can stop it down a couple or stop it up a couple if you want to bring in more light, less light. And then if you want to create that bokeh, you can adjust 120 frames per second within that window. If you do any more than that, you're going to be chasing that shot. Just keep it within that range. Work to perfect your craft within that range and recompose and make sure you get things right, because it does have the super multi-coating. So I'm not taking this with a lens hood or the multi-coating, because that's going to affect what kind of performance you get. I want to make sure everyone can see the full performance of the lens and what the pictures look like, which again are at the end of this video. So that's 7 for affordability, 7 for accessibility. Build quality is next, and the build quality is a 9, because SMCs build fantastic lenses. This has some of the best glass on the market that you can get, especially from these old school lenses. This is fantastic glass. I'm not going to knock it. It's probably my favorite type of glass to use is the SMC. So I was able to service this lens very easily. It was been dropped, like I said, and it fully recovered. There was no issues bending this lens hood or ring back into place, so I can add a filter to it. I was able to take out the lens elements and fix this focus, so that way the focus ring worked properly, because that was the issue it had when I picked it up. I picked it up with a 28mm and a 135mm, and the guy had it. He was like, "Oh yeah, I'll sell you this one too." And I was like, "Yeah, you know what? Whatever. I'll take them all for $100." But when I was messing with it, I was like, "Dude, this lens is jacked. Like, it's gonna take me some time to fix it, and I don't know if I necessarily want to pay the extra money to do it." And he was like, "It's fine. You know, let's do 85 for both of those lenses. I'll throw it in for free." So that was good. So I was very happy with that. So the build quality is a 9. Definitely easy to service. I still have all the numbers on here, even though it's extremely old, and you can see that the paint is worn in certain areas just from use. So that's fantastic. It's a heavily used lens, and I was able to get all these amazing pictures from it still. So that is a 9, except for the fact it's not dust proof, it is not weatherproof, and it is not waterproof. So that is something that you can get from a lot of modern lenses. Again, you're paying a premium for those lenses, but that's something you still can get from modern lenses, and that's what makes it a little over the top. All right, so next we're going to talk about the versatility of this lens. What can you shoot with this lens? Well, portraits, yes, you can shoot with this lens for sure. And this is all nuanced, because this also talks about micro four thirds and the ASPC and the full frame. Full frame 50mm is probably going to be one of the most versatile lenses you can use. But with that being said, it is not a great wildlife photography lens. It is a somewhat good landscape lens. It is a fantastic cityscape lens, fantastic street photography lens, and it does amazing with portraits. And a lot of these SMC primes, even though they're not labeled as macro lenses, do a really good job at macro. So that is something to also think about. Not the best at macro, they don't have dedicated modes and stuff like that. It's not as versatile as the 35 to 105. Around the same time, this era of lenses, the 35 to 105s have a dedicated macro mode that do fantastic. But I would say that the versatility is an 8. It's definitely one you can throw on your camera body, and you could be prepared for almost every situation as a photographer. So that being said, it's a pretty dang versatile lens. So all in all, I gave this an 8. And would I recommend this lens? That is very nuanced. So if you are somebody that loves a specific type of 50mm, and you are gonna always shoot with the 50mm, that is just you throw it on the camera, lock it in, that's the lens you're using. And you don't wanna pay, over, hundreds of dollars for a nice 50mm, this is gonna be it. This is the one to get. This is a great lens to get. It gives you that visceral feel. You have a lot of control over what you're doing. And that's what I love about this lens. Now, if you're somebody that wants a compilation of lenses, you just like to try out different lenses, you're not really sure which one you want to use, you do want a 50mm to throw on your body because that's where that's your baseline, that's where you like to start, I would not pick up this lens. I would pick up the Pentax-A, because it's lighter, which is something that some photographers think about, is how light their camera body is. This is a lighter lens. It's a quarter of the price, and I would just devote that money into possibly getting the 55 or a 28 or a 135, so that way you can have a variety of different lenses. And so typically, if you're a person that is going to pick up this lens, you are probably going to graduate into the FA. And then if you are somebody that picks up the Pentax-A, you're probably going to graduate into the FA eventually, which still has full aperture, manual aperture control and manual focus control. If you have the Pentax system, or you get an adapter in which you can use the autofocus, the DA, SMC Pentax DA is a fantastic lens to get. It's a 1.8 aperture, and you're going to still get that good 3D pop. All these have a really good color rendering. The color science is good, the 3D pop is good, but I will say the FA and the DA have some modern features that make it a little bit nicer. But I will not go into that any further because I want to do a full 50mm comparison. Which 50mm is the deal? So I'll do that in a later video. So with that being said, I hope that kind of clarifies it for you, makes it easier for you to decide whether or not you want to purchase this lens for your system or not. And then again, at the end of this video, there's all the pictures I took that you kind of been seeing that are going to be at the end, that are completely unedited and straight from the camera. If you like and subscribe and comment, I would really appreciate it. And once I get to 1,000 subscribers, I will be giving away several of my lenses for several subscribers because I have tons of lenses. I need to get rid of them. So please help me get to 1,000 subscribers. I desperately need to clear out some of these lenses, and I would love to give them to you. All right, thank you all. Have a good day.